Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. How's everybody doing tonight? Well, I got my thumbnail. Trump arrives and Feinstein exits. How you doing, Bubba? Well, I tell you, I'll wait till some people get in the chats. I want to ask a question of the chat group. I appreciate everybody that shows up tonight and everybody that tunes in afterwards. And welcome back. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, I just say welcome. So if you want to be part of the chats or know when I go live, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll get an alert on your phone and you can jump in the conversation. So, oh, by the way, hit the like button. For everybody that does like me. B-Dog, how you doing? Damon, how are you doing? Tennessee, how you doing? Nikki B, Tennessee and Nikki B. Camperman. Linda, Nick's Creations, nice to see you again. Zoe Bonnie, hello, how are you? Hi, Robin, how are you doing? I hope you got everything canned. Mike 1176, I might have to ask you to ship me a care package if things go bad. No, I got plenty of stuff, Robin. I'm just joking. Hi, Kim. How are you doing? Hi, Donna. Debbie. Michael. Nice to see you. Hi, Lucy. Diane. Ha 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 ha. Henri gave me a thumbs up. That helps out, folks. That pushes the video out to people who don't even know we exist, Not what it seems. How are you? It's never as it seems, is it? Hi, Sherry. Awaken Trillium. Tom Fitness. How you doing? Nice to see you. So, Christine, how you doing? Annette. Mary. Well, good. We got a good crowd in here. Did you all know that Trump was going to California today? Did you all hear about that? Hi, Outlandish Patriot. How you doing? Just curious. Before today, did you all know he was going to be in California today? Because that's only 3,000 miles away from his home base. Hi, Redhausen. How you doing? I was going to talk about Scavino's post yesterday, but I went an hour and a half and I didn't even get around to it. But he had posted 2 days in a row, or 2 days, one maybe skipped a day and then posted it again. The sun rising, you've seen those memes with the sun rising and in the sun, you see Donald Trump face with a big smile and these flowers open up, and then it's got those meme faces of liberal women screaming inside the flower. That was funny. And then they go, ah! So he did it twice, and I said, well, maybe they're going to do something really upset the liberals. But he also had another meme. He put up, not a meme. Yeah, it was a meme. It was a moving meme that he put up Thursday. He put up, said, Friday's coming, and it showed Scavino walking down the big stairs from either Air Force One or Trump Force One, carrying a big American flag. Kind of a celebratory thing about Friday. So that and this sun coming up. Oh, I heard that. That's right, Tennessee. He said a wordy dirt today. I was going to get a clip, but I can't play that clip. I wish he didn't have to say that. But what he was doing was repeating. Was that Letitia James that said that? It was one or the other, Fannie Willis or Letitia James, when they were running for office. Somebody said, what are you going to do about Trump? And they said, impeach the MFer. And that he was just repeating what they said. If they got, that's like, did these school boards getting mad when you read out loud the books they're letting kids read. So if they're getting mad at Trump saying MFer, all he's doing is repeating what they said. So I don't know if anybody knew about, whoa, how come my chats aren't moving? Let me see. Make sure I got a signal. Oh, there they go. All right. Phil, how you doing? Redhausen, Miss Mendersue. Yeah, he went off script. Off script. Trump used to go to Brentwood. Your friend Lucy worked there and met him. Met her. Yeah, Mark Miller is supposed to retire today. Well, I tell you, I don't see where anybody knows or heard in advance that Trump was going to California today. You saw it yesterday on Right Side Broadcasting. Huh. Okay. All right. Tennessee heard that. Caught me by surprise. B-Dog said Red October. So I didn't know. I must have missed that. But I saw the whole thing. I watched it live. And he wasn't playing around when he was talking to United Auto Workers. He wasn't playing around when he said, if another 2 years, if these maniacal leftists have their way, you all don't have to worry about what kind of raises you're going to get or not, because you're not going to have any jobs. The auto industry is going to be finished. And he wasn't messing around when he said that. Kicking Bird, how you doing? So I'm just making sure. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Well, they got it on Mr. T. I got a bunch of screenshots I'm not even putting up of that Midas touched in the head squawking about how Trump is making dangerous threats and all this stuff when he stated a fact about what Milley did. I mean, Douglas MacArthur got fired for a heck of a lot less by Harry Truman. Much less, we'd never dream of giving away secrets to China. As a matter of fact, what MacArthur got relieved of his command for was he wanted to go into China, swoop right on up in there during the Korean War. So let's just get it all over with. We know what the real problem is. Yeah, the boss was on fire. So, yeah, Nikki was going to play him earlier. Yeah, I checked your channel and see if you played him or not. But so Dianne Feinstein passed away, and I was watching a couple of videos about the situation, and people were saying that word was out that she was very precarious yesterday. But then at the same time, later on in the report, they said she casted votes yesterday. And I guess she passed late last night or early this morning. So, somebody's had a power of attorney for her. And I guess that's the way they pass the votes, because she wasn't sitting on no Senate floor. Hi, Araceli, how you doing? So all very suspect, and that leads me back to what I had touched on briefly last night. There is a lot of things that are going to be, after all this, be a while before it's all said and done. But during this tumult we're going to be going through, I think it's going to be determined that many laws, even I believe amendments to the Constitution may be put by the wayside. And we talk about protect and defend the Constitution, but in the back of my mind, part of protecting and defending the Constitution is going to be to restore it. If there's been political graffiti or nonsense that's been included in the Constitution that wasn't properly incorporated in the Constitution, we would have to restore it to its original condition. I would say at least pre-1871, and go from there, because that would make sense for some of the things Trump has been saying. Michael said 10 years in Korea. Yeah, that's where my dad served back in the 50s during the Korean War. Combat vet. He's a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. Red Housing, you didn't lower the flag. But what Trump has been saying about the pause, that we had to take a pause, and he discusses things in a manner that we can all infer that he has involvement and control in some form right now. Remember when he was at the Alamo, the town Alamo, he said, we will be back in some form. So, and he's calling this thing more than once a pause. Well, if the amendment to limit terms after the passing of FDR, which a lot of people say is a time when the C_A, you know what letter goes in underscore is I. They say that's when that got started. All right. Because we recruited a bunch of people over here that I'll say have I'm going to refer to the way people like Soros and Klaus Schwab talk. I'm going to call that a paperclip accent. Okay? Because you can't really put your finger on it. Is it Schwabish? Is it German? Is it Austrian? Is it, what is that accent? Paperclip accent. So, that's when a lot of people equate the birth of the C.I.A. And I don't know if that amendment, is not, I guess, applicable because of the situation of infiltration, being in a state of emergency, as Trump said, he considered himself a wartime president. I don't know, but he has certainly got to my mind, a high level of control and knows what's going on. Now, as far as these other amendments, after 1871, we're going to take a look at it. And, it's hard to remember which amendment applies to what, but we all remember that there was, or taught that there was, prohibition. That was an amendment to the Constitution, outlawing alcoholic beverages. And that's when Alphonse Capone, which Trump made reference to today, but that's when criminal organizations really flourished. And that's no longer an amendment. That was repealed. So We have to keep that in mind, that not all amendments survive scrutiny. So we'll have to see. Oh, your dad was in North Korea, Vietnam, Thailand. Oh boy. Darting around Ohio. How you doing? Hi, Wanda. So anyway, did you all hear Fetterman? I'm just going to jump away from this topic. I'm going to come back to it. But Fetterman sat down and spoke relatively normally. And what was he talking about? He was talking about Bob Menendez needing to resign. So I noticed he was holding his phone, and perhaps he was reading off his phone. But I watched his eyes. He may have referenced it quickly a little bit. So it seems to me that he does have a higher level of verbalization and cognitive function than what they've been leading on. He said, come on, dude, you got to go. That's what he's saying about Bob Menendez. Now that you have Feinstein gone, now, of course, it's going to be a Democrat replacement because Gavin Newsom is going to appoint the successor. I'm just reading the chats here. Yeah, we're going to have to hammer out. Well, listen, George Washington set the precedent for 2 terms. I mean, he set the precedent for 2 terms. It wasn't a law, and FDR broke it. He shattered it. He ran and won 4 times. And Trump is explaining that the traditional way of 8 years in and out in this particular situation, of course, wouldn't have worked. It wasn't enough time. That's why they had to do the pause. And what they're doing is identifying the people that need to go and the people that need to be prosecuted. And it's going to be, certain levels of people that are at certain levels of corruption. There's going to be people that are going to be solely charged with civilian crimes. Probably somebody like Bob Menendez would be one of those. I don't know. He was getting gold from Egypt, so that infers a foreign power. He may end up in a more military tribunal or both. I don't know. But there's all kinds of different levels of offenses that have to be identified. The players have to be identified. And I'm sure at this point, and probably for a number of years in the past, we've had people identified and they've been approached and evaluated. Before they're approached, they're evaluated. Okay, how bad has this person hurt the country? How bad are these crimes? Because we knew very, very early that were they to just go ahead with the known corrupt officials, just going ahead and pick them all up, that we would have lost 70% of our elected representatives right off the bat. And that's something that, as far as civil unrest, we wouldn't have been able to survive. So doing it this way, you're, first of all, avoiding civil unrest, major civil unrest, 1. 2, you're identifying more actors, more criminal players, okay? Getting down in the ground in the roots, not just the big sunflowers at the top, but you're getting down deep into the bureaucracy. The other thing is that you look at, since you can't remove them all at once, you say, okay, some people we'll give deals to, depending on their allocution, okay, admitting they've done wrong, that they show remorse, and their level of usefulness to help restore the republic, restore the Constitution. They can play a positive role to mitigate whatever may be their punishment. In some cases, eliminated, but they won't be in public service anymore. But they'll be, I think that's something that Bob Mueller is experienced. I could be wrong, but Mueller was a Marine, okay? I don't think Mueller had clean hands at all. But I know Bob Mueller met with Donald Trump supposedly to be FBI director when it was very well known that he had already exceeded the regulatory time number of years that he could be FBI director. But that's the story they used for a very high level meeting between Bob Mueller and Barr. So then you had Mueller was in total control of the Mueller report. And if you remember, Trump said there were 18 angry men, 18 angry people on the Mueller team. But he said, I'm telling you, I couldn't get a clip of that because he's done so many interviews, so many speeches, so many rallies. It's like, wow, when did he say that? But he said, now y'all remember this if you watched that interview. He said, I truly believe I had an angel in the room. He wouldn't say who it was. I know one of those people wasn't no angel, Andrew Weissman. I've called him Mr. Sweaty Man. And he's been going on MSNBC and talking about Trump from the very beginning. Needed to be arrested. He's been working with that Harvard professor, Lawrence Tribe. But anyway, so he said he had an angel in the room. He said, I truly believe that. And that makes it 17 angry men. But anyway, so he had one angel in the room, and that might have been a little signal to Bob Mueller, who did not let things spin out of control, did not let the report be presented to Congress, to the Senate, that inferred any criminality on Trump's part during the first impeachment. Remember that Mueller report. Mueller sat there and they couldn't squeeze anything out of him that would have been condemnatory of Trump. They couldn't condemn him on anything from that report. And I remember the back and forth between Bill Barr and the quote Mueller team, where even two-letter words they were arguing over. No, you can't say it that way. You got to say it this way. What's your basis for that sentence existing? In other words, that report was hammered out in such a way that it could in no way be construed or hinted at that Trump committed any kind of crime. And that's a big deal. So there's an example of whoever that, quote, angel was in the room. And maybe Bob Mueller, I might be wrong. Could have been another person in that room. But he said he had one person out of 18, or maybe 19, that wanted his hide. So there's an example of somebody who exhibited the ability to contribute to this, what I'll say is an operation. All right. Trump has said many, many times, I caught them all. Now it is the business of rounding them up. We always use the term when do birds sing? When do birds sing? Well, guess what I found today? Because I've been piddling around going through 17 posts. There's one time, let me just check the chats. There's one time they say something else. Oh, Fetterman's a doppelganger. That might be because he certainly talked very clear to, we'll know Sunday about the shutdown. Yeah, I see Tennessee. Tennessee asked about that. Hi, Melinda. Anyway, when do birds talk? That was in the 17. Only one time. Okay, you can find birds sing a couple of times, or I don't know how many times, but when do birds talk? Once, and that was when they were talking about Al Wahid or whatever his name is from Saudi Arabia. He had all of his assets confiscated. He's the Saudi prince that Trump got kicked out of the Saudi power structure and got the sword dance. And anyway, they were referring to him. When do birds talk? Oh, okay. When they're in a cage and when they've been trained, that's when birds talk. Yeah, which Fetterman said that? 1, 2, 3, or 5. Yeah, these next 5 months could be interesting. And yeah, it was an interesting statement. There's moves, counter moves, and there's feints. A feint. You've seen that in boxing when somebody acts like they're going to hit them with the right, just see which way their head's going to move, and then you whop them with the left. So it could be a feint. He could be just getting them scared, stirring them up. There you go, Tennessee. Did she know of the Presidential Records Act? That's right. Give them just a fact that the mainstream media is doing a disservice by not telling them. Did she know of the Presidential Records Act and of the Clinton socks case where he had his stuff in a sock drawer? And that they lied about nuclear secrets. There were no nuclear secrets. This is a little ball of big lie. Hi, Jersey Joe. Watching on the TV. Andrew, how are you? Lone Wolf. Yeah, you just very calmly hit him with a fact and not get emotional, because I'm beyond getting emotional. I'm even beyond being exasperated with them, because exasperation is an emotion too. But you just can very kindly tell them facts. And that's why it's important to stay grounded in facts. So I thought it was interesting that I don't remember Trump, when the last time Trump's ever been to California. But boy, I tell you what, that's a long way out there. That's all the way on the other side of the country. And he did it. Hi, Sissy. How are you doing? And it was the same day Dianne Feinstein. What am I thinking about October 4th? I think our phones are going to go off and we're going to hear we're going to know that the emergency broadcast system works. We really need that system to be working. Remember the last time they tried to do a test while Mr. T was still in office, and a lot of companies didn't do them? A lot of phones did not go off, and they gave a bunch of goofball excuses. Well, I don't think there's going to be any excuses this time. Yeah, has anybody heard anything definitive about Katie Hobbs? I checked this afternoon and didn't see any new articles or any new X's instead of tweets, X's from Katie Hobbs. And then I got involved in listening to Mr. T, and then I started putting in some interesting keywords into 17. Because we all know future proves past, right? Nasara Jasara, it's a while since I've heard the chats talk about that. Very interesting Wicked Trillion, because I made a note about that today because I found it interesting how Mr. T kept referring to Sean with the United Auto Workers and how he needs to endorse Trump. And if there is corruption that can be traced to union leadership that causes some type of action that is in conflict with the National Economic Recovery Act, okay? Or the Global Economic Recovery Act. Nasara Jasara, that's what the national and global. Hey, they could be in big trouble, right? So that's why Trump's got that little sly smile on his face, and I think he knows he's going to get Sean's, the president of the United Auto Workers, or the leader for the union, is going to get that endorsement for Trump. I think Nasara Jasar's got something to do with it. I think there are legal consequences for purposely causing economic harm, especially if it's at the behest of a foreign entity. Am I making sense? That's right, Tennessee scared the hell out of them. Hi, Jeffrey. Whoops. Yeah, I think Nasara Jasar is coming into play, along with the Truth and Reconciliation Act. That's why these news agencies they have to publish the polls, whether they like it or not. And Frank Luntz popped out of the woodwork and said the Republican debates were worthless and they needed to stop, and that Trump was the only winner. You know, he said that under duress. I'm sure he's happy to say it now, but Trump called him out by name. You know, Frank Luntz, he's got the same hairdo as Janet Napolitano. He was called out for rigged polls, and Trump said that's illegal. So we're seeing with our own eyes two things: Nasara Jasara and Truth and Reconciliation Act. We're seeing more than that. We're seeing 13858 about interference with foreign powers involved. How many people remember a historic thing Trump did that resulted in the Chinese embassy in California having a bonfire in their courtyard? And the historic thing that Trump did was told them they had 24 hours to get the heck out of that compound. Remember that, folks? And they had a bonfire in the side of that compound you could see for like 2 miles. And we know what they were burning. Just for giggles, I put the word clone in 17. It was mentioned 2 times. One of them was about CHYNA, okay, that country, cloning BALLOTS, right? Get what I'm saying? So they were burning some clones in that embassy courtyard. Lone wolves, who the illegals? Trump. He told, was it Guatemala? Two countries. Two or three countries. He was talking about he cut off their aid, and because they were not accepting our planes to drop off undesirables, I'll say, and he forced Mexico to pay for 28,000 troops. I'm gonna tell you what, I wouldn't put it past Trump at all to say, you boneheads have your airplanes here. We got them. We're going to put them in your airplanes and you get the hell out of here with them. That's what you use the aid money we give you anyway, is to get your people the hell out of our country. Does that make sense, Lone Wolf? And there's going to be a lot of self-deportation if Nassar Jassar goes through, because people want to go back to their countries. The economic outlook for many of these third world countries, so to speak, are going to be a lot brighter. Thank you, Nikki. If anybody wants to support channel, I got a buy me a coffee link in the description. It's a viewer supported and creator supported channel, and I appreciate everybody that's helped me in the past. Will they do it? They'll do whatever Trump tells them to. Trump's going to come in, hit the ground. He's already hitting the ground running. I mean, people in the know, people in politics, they see the writing on the wall. That's right, B-Dog. They'll have their flight costs deducted from their payments. You know what? It's so sick that these coyotes make so much money. And Ted Cruz was talking about how they have those wristbands that are, might as well say, shackles, because they're coated with there's old way to code cloth wristbands. I won't get into it tonight, or elastic wristbands. With elastic ones, you stretch them out and you can write on there, even in code, while they're stretched out. But when you let the wristband come back together, your writing looks just like lines. You can't make anything out. And then you stretch the wristband, you can make out the letters. And then if you have the letters encoded and know the way to decode them. So there's a lot of stuff like that goes on. He's talking, Mr. Mindersu, he's talking like he has control in some form. That's what he said just before he left office. So anyway, I was just looking through the chats here. Anyway, in my travels through the 17 letter, did you notice Nikki posted where somebody got busted for FRAUD at concerning one of our selections? And I posted where one lady got snatched up or is under investigation for dumping off pieces of paper in a certain kind of trash pail box. You know what I'm talking about. But that's in our community pages. So it's happening. I talked about Grady Judd talking about 200 arrests concerning human trafficking. And he was discussing the coyotes at the border and stuff. That's one sheriff in one county in one state. You know there's more stuff going on than that. Yeah, Elon was streaming, Kim. I watched a little bit of it. So, yeah, Bob Menendez, that's an interesting story. But now, say the government shuts down. That is a chess game. You know, we don't know how to play that chess game, but we know it's a chess game. Is that 4-dimensional, 3-dimensional? It's more than just a regular chess game. But then you have Dianne Feinstein passing, and people were talking about Scavino putting out dog comms. I mentioned that myself a couple of days ago. I said he put out the wolf comm that could have been tied to timber wolves, or which would be George Bush Sr., but more than likely dog comm. And then you have somebody like Feinstein pass away, and they were going to use state funerals to take things out of the news cycle that they didn't want in the news cycle. Remember that? Well, if the government shuts down, well, we're going to have a big bunch of stuff on TV about Dianne Feinstein's history, black and white photos of her in the civil rights movement. But guess what? Who turns 99, I think tomorrow or Sunday? Jimmy Carter turns 99 years old. We know he's been in hospice. I talked about how he went to a festival for peanut farmers last weekend. So I don't know how that story is going to go. But anyway, we're going to be looking at some state funerals. And that's why I try not to read too much into stuff. But man, I found it odd when Katie Hobbs finally put out something on X that she referred to John McStain. Are we going to be seeing, if everything's shut down, the news cycle is full of Feinstein funeral stuff? Are we going to be seeing comms like we did, which I don't think at all were flights of fancy or conspiracy stuff? Not at all. I agree that there were communications about John McCain's status in the eyes of the military with the wrinkled flags, just like George Bush Sr. And I still say, if I had to bet the farm on what was in that note that everybody got during George Bush's funeral service, everybody opened it up and said, "What's this? What this?" Remember, I think it said, "Who's next?" ? Everybody that got one of those, who's next? Yeah. Well, Doug, I see what you're saying, but it's continuity of government, COG. Um, that that's got its own nuances because, as I was saying, if they say certain amendments are invalid because of what happened in 1871, or if it was found that they were illegally amendments were illegally pushed through, like the 16th Amendment, Trump could very well be operating. This could be Trump's second term, because some of the things Trump said today were very close to him saying he is having a second term right now. So is it in a diminished capacity, but with overall control, and he gave control to the military as a second term? Is this continuity of government right now that we're going through? COG, continuity of government, or that is basically when the functions of our government have been captured by a foreign force, that things are set up to continue for continued operations of our government during that that capture, or could be a military interregnum, and Trump is the commander in chief during a interregnum period. And an interregnum is basically when Charles de Gaulle fled France. He was the de facto president of France in an interregnum period until they kicked the Germans out and restored lawful government. Oops. Oh, I must have left my finger on Diane's. I was preaching at the ceiling again, folks, bouncing around my chair with my finger in the air. That's right, Lone Wolf. Border agents not work, and that's the thing. A lot of people have been pointing out they guaranteed the wages of Ukrainian government workers throughout a shutdown, but then at the same time, Border Patrol agents would not be getting checks. They would have to be working on faith that they'll get their checks later. Also, Department of Corrections prison guards would not be getting paid, among others. How in the hell they don't think that's not a necessary function of government, I got no idea. Oh, yeah. There's going to be questions about when Dianne Feinstein actually departed this earth. Now, the question is, who's going to get her spot? It's going to be a demon rat. And they say who's bouncing around in his chair going, ooh, ooh, ooh. What was that guy's name in Welcome Back, Kotter? Anyway, Adam Schiff. He wants to be a senator bad. But a lot of you know, and for the few that don't know, Gavin Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. And Gavin Newsom is not his real name. I used to have a meme about it that showed him when he's younger and said what his real name was. I got to dig that up because I can't remember. Yeah, I heard that rumor too, Outlandish. They have it all. But for Laura Bush to have that disgusted look on her face, and for Jeb Bush's jaw to drop open, who's next is the one. Because George Bush Jr. came and had a little tete-a-tete with Mr. T the next day at the White House. Yeah, he talked about how bad the second term is, Tennessee. But, as far as people getting, and I touched on it a little bit last night. Hi, Terry said, go ask Millie. Did you see the interview that he did where he snickered a little bit when he was asked about Mr. T saying he was a traitor? Pappy Two Bears didn't. Oh, how far back am I in the chats? Let me see. That's right. We're all here together to help each other, our families, and the normies. Yeah, as I was alluding to last night, we get especially younger people, they want to get some kinetic action going. They want to go out in a neighborhood or down to town hall and raising, in a civil way where we're the adults, we're the people that behave in a law and order manner. Yeah, Henri T said the storm is coming, and he said that's one of the posts I pulled up. That is when the order to start declassifying information was given. Schiff and Big Mike will fight for her position. Well, I'll tell you, that's interesting because I would put some keywords in, and then I would just see what came up. And one of them was that the President of the United States initiated and confirmed the order when he stated the calm before the storm, unquote. And I said, boy, isn't that something that popped up? And what it was a person in the boards made a comment that the 17th letter felt was important. And they were asking, when are things going to be declassified so we can see what's happening or what has happened? And that was the response. The President of the United States initiated and confirmed the order when he stated the calm before the storm. When was the statement made? Late October 2017. I don't know the exact date. When did the 17th letter go active? 2 days later, I believe. Watch the news, watch the FBI, watch the DOJ. And man, have we been watching. I know it's been a long time. But as Mr. T said, post-election morning when he beat Hillary Clinton at 3 a.m., he came out and said, these things take time. So, boy, haven't we learned a lot about the FBI, the DOJ, and everything that I just said. And General Flynn, in his interview, he said that those agencies, they have to be either be changed in a big way or eliminated. So, yeah. The declass is taking some time, but it is happening. And then I looked up, this one is from June of 2020. I looked up gag order just for the heck of it because of Judge Chutkan. She refused to recuse herself, even though the arguments were very strong that a judge shall not remain in control of a case where there is an appearance of bias. That's for regular cases, never mind a historic case concerning a former and future president of the United States of America. But according to Chutkan, she doesn't give any degree of bias. She doesn't give off that vibe at all. So now comes the her decision on the gag order, right? And I said, well, I wonder what it says about that. So this from June 5th, 2020 says, what happens when the gag order is lifted? And then in brackets, it says case dismissed. And then in quotes, it says, I am not done. And then after that, it says, be all you can be, army strong. They knew they could not destroy America through invasion, infiltration at the highest levels of government, media, science, health, military, combat operation commanders. Final level. So I don't recall back at 2020 that Trump had a gag order on him, but that's what this post was discussing. And this gag order may be not even issued at this time. They might toss a gag order up sometime in the spring or during Christmas or whenever. But the post said gag order lifted. What happens then? Army strong. Army strong. Yeah, we got to be careful about all of them, Debbie. But remember, there's patriots in trusted places. Yeah, New York's getting flooded. I was watching a creator today. He said, I can't put up any of the videos of what's going on because UTIS will take some down. But they were saying, believe me, the streets are flooded. So I was busy researching and checking Truth Social, any news reports about any other things we're talking about. Thank you, Doug. Yeah, the main thing we're doing is keeping it real. And you know, we could spend an hour going off on speculative stuff. I really am curious about this Katie Hobbs bit, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But we can smile and chuckle to ourselves because we know something went down. We don't know exactly what. But Carrie Lake's in a good mood. Donald Trump's in a good mood. Dan Scavino's in a good mood. I don't know if Katie Hobbs is in a good mood. If I had to bet, I would say she's not in a good mood. So that's something I could have a conversation with somebody, and I would not make them think I'm a crazy conspiracy person. I would say, you know, Katie Hobbs stepped down. They said it was temporary. And they go, what do you mean? She stepped down as governor. No, she didn't. Yeah, here it is. You know, pull a AP thing up on your phone and just show them the headline. Katie Hobbs steps down temporarily from governor. Well, I haven't heard she stepped back in. Something's going on. I wonder if it's got anything to do with those people that came forward and said there were a bunch of fake deed of trust at the courthouse that never existed, and people were getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from drug cartels. I don't know. It was a Senate hearing. It was testimony in Senate hearing. I'm not sure. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I don't know. You probably find it in the internet yourself, but I remember the Senate hearings. And people will you don't got to do all the heavy lifting for their brain. You just got to throw out some stuff there to get them intrigued because people are nosy. Okay. Inquiring minds want to know. And if you act like, hey, next thing you know, your phone's going to be ringing and they'll have the answers for you. But if you try to shove a red pill down their throat, they're going to cut you off and say you're crazy. But if you plant seeds, don't plant trees. You plant seeds and let them water them. And next thing you know, they'll be acting like they're informing you. And you don't have to say, hey, I already knew that. You just say, you don't say. You kidding me? Really? You'll be surprised. People always want what they can't have, and they always want to know what they don't know. If you act like you don't want them to know it, or you're dumb and they want to prove themselves smart. Remember that Bugs Bunny commercial? Oh, not Bugs Bunny. What was it? Cartoon about it. Daffy Duck. Injun Joe. He was walking around, and a little guy with a cowboy hat on, was springing around, goofy looking, saying, "I know something I won't tell. I won't tell. I won't tell." And Injun Joe would go, "What you know?" And do you all remember that? Injun Joe would smack on top of a mountain and it would split in half. But anyway, I won't tell the answer to that. Y'all are going to have to look that cartoon up for yourself. Injun Joe, what you know? Mr. T was talking about alco. I don't know. I don't know what that word is. Alcomebone? Well, things make sense. Things make sense. If you know that we're moving forward. Something's making sense. Yeah, the corruption has got to get, it's going to get, we can't go on, continue to go on with it. Man, let me see. I gotta tell you all a bunch of stuff. The armor of God is repeated in the post at least 10 times. Putting on the full armor of God. I'm going to go over some posts with you all, but right now I have a long post I'm going to read to you. That's very important. It doesn't have a title to it. It's called "There Was a Time." And this is important for a lot of people to listen to put things in perspective and remember that our job is to maturely inform people, to civilly do our duty, swamp the swamp, as Mr. T says, and pass on information. This is a digital battlefield, not kinetic. And our job is to fire the meme cannons, put out credible information, maintain our dignity, and not allow ourselves to get into fantastic thinking or repeat things from other people who are only looking for profit and clicks. Okay? Remember that cortisol getting in your system, and fear distracts you. There was a time when our children stood at attention and with pride put their hand on their heart and in one united voice recited the Pledge of Allegiance. There was a time when strength and honor meant something. There was a time when our history, heritage was taught with pride and respect. There was a time when respect was given to those who served, bled, and died to protect and defend our freedom. There was a time when we were grateful. I'm going to interrupt for a minute and say, last night I said our nation has become ungrateful and doesn't appreciate the Constitution that we have, doesn't realize its importance. There was a time when our accomplishments meant something. Our individual accomplishments meant something. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united. There was a time when these United States of America was united under God. There was a time when these United States of America, one nation under God, was united under the American flag, a flag that was carried in battle by brave patriots as a symbol of freedom and justice for all, no matter what race, religion, or background, a beacon of hope when flown, a mark of respect to their memory, to those who willfully sacrificed their lives to defend. There was a time when we, the people, decided our future. There was a time when we, the people, had a voice. There was a time when we, the people, were united and strong. There was a time when we, the people, were free of political bias and corruption. There was a time when our elected leaders stood their ground, dug in, and defended those they represented. How many men and women in uniform are currently serving on the front lines abroad, only to look back in horror to see the homeland on fire? What does the word, quote, patriot mean to you? Land of the free, home of the brave. Now is not the time to be complacent. Will you answer the call? Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same, or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men were free. Ronald Reagan. So that's the thing to keep in mind, folks. When you look at most of the people in my broadcasts are mature individuals, and we didn't have to deal with any of this craziness. We knew things were corrupt. We knew there were problems. And that's why I was talking about last night. Don't be surprised if things get tougher, because nobody's getting away scot-free. And many of us are at fault to a certain degree because of sins of omission or ignoring or being complacent, and to some degree being ungrateful ourselves. But you don't know what you got till it's gone. You don't miss the water till the well runs dry. But we've got newer generations that didn't experience what we experienced. And how can they know the wonderful way of life that we know we are losing if they never get to experience it? So, we got to make some amends for our own behaviors and lack of action. But for the most part, we have been defrauded, abused, snookered, cheated. Now we're smart enough to see it, and we've got a light to see it. The light is getting shined on it. So we have to be involved from here on out. We have to teach our children how to be involved. We have to teach them how to vote, how our local governments work, how our federal governments work, because we're supposed to be driving this car. And we can't have this ever happen again where it's bouncing off of trees, going in a ditch, or whatever. We're self-governing. We're responsible for ourselves. But we had a bunch of criminals come in and take over our financial system and turn our country into a miserable hamster wheel that we got to keep running on. And they speed it up a little bit more and a little bit more every year. California putting a total of 20% tax on ammunition. Now they're talking about restricting people being able to drive, quote, classic cars. Even though that Newsom vetoed that bill, that what they call the kidnapping bill, where psychos can take your kids. That doesn't mean they're not going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I'm using California as an example. So we got to be diligent, vigilant. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So, and we have to, in our own hearts, even though I think, sometimes myself, that how I view how I should react and treat others is good, righteous, and the way to do it. Well, you learn and you grow every day. And the best way to understand how to reach out to others, how to behave in a manner that pleases God, is to continue to read the Word and reflect on the Word and realize that we're all frail humans and that you can learn something new every day. And that's the way to approach life. A lot of the problem of this generations that we're dealing with is that they are set in concrete, that they are right the way they treat people. They are justified in their hatred and anger. They don't open their eyes any wider than what some demented school curriculum tells them. They can't see past their nose. You have to acknowledge the fact that we're all growing spiritually, we're all growing mentally, and the closer you get to the Word, the more you reflect on the Word with a loving heart, the brighter the light's going to be when they shine it in your eyes. So, and mine too. I'm a frail human. I do what I can do. So anyway, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And I'll be broadcasting again probably tomorrow night. And I'm taking advice from some nice folks in the chats that Sundays, maybe a day we want to rest and reflect. Okay. So I will probably be broadcasting tomorrow, folks. So you all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.